Hola amigos and amigas, it's Helene with Lourdes University. We are here in the fabulous Franciscan Center for a wonderful event. It is the School is in Session panel will be here. Panelists will be discussing the diversification of the education workforce. So stay tuned. And with us now is a very special guest, Vince Laverick, who oversees the Education Division here at Lourdes University. Thank you for joining us, Vince.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. This is a wonderful night.
Great. And tell us more about the Education Division here at Lourdes, the programs.
So the Education Division is pretty robust. We cover pretty much everything from primary school all the way through AYA. And in the middle, we have a middle school program. We have a special ed program. And we also have a new program called the dual endorsement that we've been offering. And I think all those, it really allows pretty much any student to come here and find something in education that he or she would like.
Okay, great. And then you actually were you were the person that started the Like Me program, which is dedicated to diversifying the educator workforce.
So I was a part of the team. Yes, it's a real exciting thing that we're looking to build. It really, I think, matches a lot of what the university stands for with the 3 principles of learning, service, and reverence, and then also with the sisters who sponsor us. They came here over 100 years ago to help support marginalized populations, the Polish in the city of Toledo, and they started educating them, and that really matches what we're doing here. We're looking at individuals who aren't well represented in the community and trying to make more teachers look like the students they're serving. And I think it's not just a local problem, it's a statewide and nation problem, but Lourdes is well suited to handle it, and we're excited to take on the challenge.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we're looking forward to the panel.
Good evening. Good evening. So I'm Mary Ann Wallach, I'm the president of Lourdes University, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here tonight. So I'm delighted that Lourdes is hosting this panel today, and I would like to invite my colleague, Dr. Vince Laverick, to come forward, who is chair of our education programs.
Just happy to be here with you today. The document that Vince was referencing was a document that we worked on several years ago, and it was in 2018, and I want to reference that because it's just what makes my heart warm to see the work that's happening here at Lourdes. Because when we collaborated with Higher Ed and Ohio Department of Education to create the Diversifying the Educator pipeline, which is based upon data and research, and it explains the gaps that we have in Ohio, and then it gives you strategies to address the gaps. So what I've been doing probably for the last year and a half is really just preaching the message of we have this plan, use it.
Hola, and with me right now is Lamise Yunus. She is an educator and can tell us more about School is in Session, the education panel. Thank you so much for joining us, Lamise. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Great, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a 4th grade teacher at Stranahan Elementary in Sylvania, and I also am an alum from Lourdes. I graduated with my early childhood elementary bachelor's degree, and I'm currently back at Lourdes for my graduate program in teaching curriculum.
Well, thank you so much, number one, for being an educator. That's such a tremendous job, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much.
And tell us, why is this particular panel so important? What's being discussed today?
I think it's so important because students in school really need to have representatives from all cultures and backgrounds. And if, we also have to be open-minded. So if we are not sharing the same culture or background as our students, we need to understand that we need to provide those experiences for them and those opportunities for them to celebrate their culture as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to the panel.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Stay tuned.
I believe that many teachers are always asked their why. Why do you do what you do? And very, very little of us, if any of us, ever say because of our salary. And I believe that many years ago, teachers were thought to close our door at 3:15 or 3:45. But we all know as educators that is not the case. We are taking physical work home, but also we are taking the social and emotional needs of our students home, weighing heavy on our shoulders. And so looking at what we are compensated and all of the hats we have to wear every single day, I think that is also one reason why teachers leave education, and maybe why students who are going into education are discouraged by themselves because they haven't seen the great other aspects of education, or from those around them.
And with us again today is Kimberly Scribner, who coordinates the Like Me program, which is dedicated to diversifying the educator workforce. And Kimberly, thank you so much for joining us again.
Absolutely, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Sure. And not only do you oversee the Like Me program, but you are actually a panelist tonight.
I am very excited about this event. Just having the opportunity to bring awareness to something that's so important and so needed in our community.
Wonderful. And what are you hoping people take away from this program tonight?
That it's definitely all hands on deck. When we talk about diversifying the educator workforce, it's not going to just take the Like Me program, it's not going to take the panelists, it's going to take all of us, schools, community, anyone that can get involved in this amazing opportunity to diversify our educator workforce and increase the equity that's going on in our school buildings and our school systems.
Wonderful. And thank you so much for joining us again, and good luck with the panel. Stay tuned for more.
They actually reached out to understanding. And before we can actually address our differences, we have to seek for understanding those differences as well. And that was one thing that made me stay in education and continue with this journey of diversifying the educator workforce.
Welcome back to DESCUBRE Lourdes, and with me is Reverend John Jones of Hope Toledo. How are you doing today?
Great, how are you?
Good, and you are a panelist today? So what exactly will you be discussing?
So the conversation we're having is about diversifying the educator workforce, and my perspective is not from that of an educator, but more from one who has been obviously in the educational system. I attended an HBCU after going to private schools for my K-12 experience, and now in the role that I serve at Hope Toledo, we're really working with students as they enter post-secondary education and then work their way through to get jobs. And we're also working with educators on the early side of this. So we're always looking for great educators to come out and teach our earliest of learners.
Okay, great. And obviously this is so very important, but it's not just beneficial to have diversification with the teachers, but all the students learn from this, don't they?
Yes, they do. They absolutely do. And what's critical is not just the things that they will learn in the classroom, but it's also the presence. It's the representation. It's who they see every day. It's being able to build that relationship of trust. And then hopefully we're generating and creating those type of learners that want to go become educators at some point, which I think is crucial.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to listening to the panel.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for having me.
Worth having. It's consistent. It's going to be ongoing. We're not going to get to an end. We're going to continue to push towards the right space for what this looks like, and that's going to be an ongoing process. If I were doing a hot take on this answer, the hot take would be real easy. It's Harper. Pay them more. Why do they leave? Pay more, right? But I think beyond the hot take, it's really starting early, because when children see someone they can aspire to, they want to do that themselves. So if I'm sitting in a classroom, and I remember for myself, I was fortunate because my second grade teacher was an African American woman, and I was in a Christian school. And that Christian school literally had very few minorities, whether it were students or teachers, and she was the only person of color that was on the teaching staff. And she was only there for 2 years. I just got fortunate that I had her for one of those 2 years. I didn't see another teacher of color until I went to Central State University, which is down in Wilberforce, Ohio's historically black college university. It's the only state-funded historically black college university in the state of Ohio. And so for me, it will consistently be a couple things. One, I do believe that teachers should get paid more. They do so much work, and it's so necessary. But I know that's an easy answer to say. There's a lot of work that has to be done to get there. But even more importantly is how do the educators that are coming through the space, how do we ensure that the children see that so they can aspire to it and want to become that teacher themselves?
Here in the Franciscan Center at Lourdes University, and we've saved the best for last, Paris Coleman. So thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Sure, and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure, born and raised here in Toledo. Been involved with the Lourdes Board of Directors for 6 years, and I have worked with Mary Sabin and Dr. Gowalik on a number of issues pertaining to this issue and developing diversity in the teacher workforce.
Right, well, and tell us, why is this panel, what are you hoping that this panel does moving on forward?
I'm hoping the panel inspires us to take steps, affirmative steps, detailed steps in developing diversity in not only our educational programs but our teaching workforce, so students have people to rely on who look like them and they have some level of familiarity and comfort with.
Great. Well, thank you so much for all you do for Lourdes and all you're doing for this wonderful program.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned next week, same time, same place. Rafa will be back here with some wonderful stories about sharing the spirit, a retreat that the students did, and also about our MBA program. See you then.